All right, so good afternoon, good day to everyone. So this is the lecture video for the titrometric methods. Now, as an introduction, so when you say titration or titrometric method, we're basically using a technique to determine the concentration of a solution by measuring the volume of another solution. Okay, so what we're trying to determine is our concentration by using or by measuring the volume of one solution. So typically this would be your titrant. Okay. And then this is needed to completely react with another solution. So this one refers to the unknown solution. And the titration process involves addition of the solution of known concentration. So dapat daw po yung titrant natin, alam natin yung concentration from a burette. May two types po tayo, either acid or base. Depende po doon sa solution na hinahanap natin, or it depends on the initial solution that we're trying to look for. Okay, so it is based on the complete chemical reaction between the analyte and the titrant of known concentration. So you have your analyte, this is typically a solution, and you have a titrant, which is typically standard. Okay. So, pag sinabi po nating standard, alam po natin yung concentration. Okay, and then you have finally your end product, which allows us to determine the concentration of your analyte. Okay, so we have three types of titrimetry. You have volumetric, you have gravimetric, and coulometric. So volumetric, as the term suggests, involves the measuring the volume of a solution of known concentration that is needed to react completely with the analyte. Whereas gravimetric naman, as the term suggests, we use the mass of the reagent. And then you have also coulometric, which wherein the reagent is in constant direct electrical current of known magnitude. Okay. Now, a standard solution, as mentioned earlier, is a reagent of known concentration. So, alam po natin yung concentration ng standard solution natin. Therefore, this one is being used as a method for us to determine the unknown. Okay, so titration is performed by adding the standard solution from a burette or other liquid dispensing device. So hindi naman po necessary na burette, but of course, in an ideal titration setup, no, you have sort of a cross, and then you have your acid and base burettes. So acid and base burettes. So dito po natin lalabas yung droplets ng acid and bases. Okay? Now, terms that we need to remember and we need to discuss is that first, the equivalence point is when um, the amount of added nitrant is chemically equivalent to the amount of analyte in the sample. So meaning, yung titrant po natin ay pareho na po ng analyte. Okay, so that is the equivalence point. And then the end point is reached when there is a physical change in the solutions. No? So typically, we know that acids and bases are either colorless clear liquids. So, for example, ito po yung acid and base or ito yung analyte natin, or ito yung unknown solution natin. As you are adding droplets of acid or base, magkakaroon po siya ng color reaction. So once the color of our solution changes, that is the endpoint. Okay? And for the solution or for the color of the solution to change, you have to have indicators. So alam naman po natin, or we all know, that pH indicators are reagents that we add to solutions to monitor the changes in pH. Okay, so same with our titration. No? We add indicators so that we can monitor the pH changes. And indicators would give us the color reaction. And it would tell us that we are near the endpoint or the equivalence point. Okay, so this is a typical setup of titration. So you have your burette. Again, this could be either an acid or a base. Paano po natin malalaman if it's an acid or a base burette? So you can look at the stopcock. Now, usually an acid burette would have a glass stopcock, and then a base burette would have a rubber stopcock. Okay, so this is our solution or acid of unknown concentration. So this should be, since acid po yung ating solution, dapat daw po ang ating ginagamit ay base burette. Okay, so as you can see here, there is already a color change. This is what we refer to as sort of a salmon pink, a very, very mild pink. No? And then as you can see here in the image to the right, you have your solution. You add your indicator, which will give us the color reaction later on. And then you have your burette. This could be acid or base again. And then you read your initial volume. Okay, so then you're going to drop the reagent into your unknown solution, and then until you get the color reaction. So you're going to measure your initial volume, and then you're going to measure your final volume. And then you're going to then find out kung gaano kadami ang nawala at nagamit, and then you know how much was added into your analyte. Okay, so indicators again, they elicit the physical changes in the solutions. So the appearance or disappearance of color, typically a change in color po yung hinahanap natin. Okay? It could also be an appearance or disappearance of turbidity, but the most common indicator we use is what we call phenolphthalein. Okay, no? So this one would typically give us a salmon pink color. Okay, so again, iba-iba po no yung indicators na ginagamit natin. Different types of indicators would give us a different color as well. So be mindful and be careful of that no. So baka mamaya nagkaroon na tayo ng color change tapos ayaw pa rin nating i-consider as endpoint kasi hindi po salmon pink yung lumabas. Okay? So again, it depends on the indicator being used. Okay, so the typical setup for carrying out a titration, you have your burette. This is what we call a burette clamp. Okay, and then you have your unknown solution, and then usually again in the burette clamp, now you have one acid and one base, and then you have your indicator. Okay, so usually it's especially if you're new to if you're new to titration, no, what happens is sumasobra po tayo dun sa endpoint. Okay, nagkakaroon na tayo ng color change, but because we're not able to mix it properly, hindi natin siya nami-mix, ang nangyayari is sobra. Okay, so when you have excess, for example, you've added an excess of acid, you can correct it by adding another excess of base. Okay, so sort of like balancing out the acid and base in the solution, and therefore finding out the actual concentration of the unknown solution. Okay, so again, when we have a clear solution or a clear liquid, so the reference point on the meniscus and the proper eye position for reading are depicted in the future. So dapat daw po we use our proper reading techniques. Okay, so before the titration begins, the solution to be titrated, an acid in this example, is placed in the flask and the indicator is added as shown in the photo. The indicator in this case is phenolphthalein, which turns pink in a basic solution. So since this is an acid, kapag daw naging base siya, it's going to turn pink. Okay, so once it turns basic, it then becomes, or it then reaches the endpoint. Okay, so during titration, the titrant is added to the flask with a swirling motion. So very important po ito no, until the color of the indicator persists. There are times that when you drop your base, In this case, yung standard po natin ay base, no? Dahil ang solution po natin, again, is acid. So, there are times when you drop your base, you're going to find or you're going to see sort of a pink reaction or a pink color already where you've dropped the base. So remember, the indicator is homogenized or rather spread evenly in the acid solution. So once you drop a concentrated base in your solution, it's going to give you a color reaction. So it's important for you to swirl the flask so that you can evenly disperse the base. Sometimes, if you swirl it enough, nawawala po yung color or the pink color is or disappears, no? So it's important for you to swirl it so that you know if you've actually reached what we call the endpoint. Okay? So swirl, swirl until the color disappears or until, sabi po dito, it persists. Okay, so if you look at the figure on your left, this one, this is your typical setup, and then you see an endpoint over here and an overshot endpoint over here. So, ang tama po is itong nasa gitna. Okay, again, a very light pink only. If the pink gets darker, it means that your pH has reached over 8, and that is considered to be incorrect. Okay, so titration error is the difference in volume or mass between the equivalence point and the endpoint. Okay, so the actual your endpoint or the volume of the endpoint is the actual volume of the reagent required to reach the endpoint, and your volume of the equivalence point is the theoretical volume to reach the equivalence point. So basically, sinasabi po natin that this one is this actual measured, and this one is theoretical. So this would be taken from literature, it could be taken from books, it could be taken from articles, it could be taken from any kind of reliable literature. No? Whereas your VEP or the endpoint is actual yung volume na na-measure po natin kanina. Okay, so next we have primary standards. So primary standards are highly purified compounds that serve as a reference material in all volumetric and mass stoichiometric methods. So the accuracy of a method is critically dependent on the properties of this compound. So kailangan it has high purity, atmospheric stability, absence of hydrate water so that the composition of the solid does not change with variation in relative humidity. It should be readily available, and it should be reasonable solubility in the titration medium. Okay, so it should also have a reasonably large molar mass so that the relative error associated with weighing the standard is minimized. Next, a secondary standard is a compound whose purity has been established by chemical analysis and that serves as the reference material for a tithometric method. So the difference between a primary and a secondary standard, okay, a primary standard would typically be commercially produced, meaning binibili na po natin siya or we buy them as is, okay, and we know the concentration from the manufacturer. Si secondary standard naman po, this one could be previously unknown. So basically, hindi natin alam yung concentration ni secondary standard dati, but because we've analyzed the secondary standard, then nagkakaroon na po tayo ng established concentration, and therefore, we can use it as a standard. So again, nalaman lang po natin yung concentration niya through analysis. Okay, so establishing the concentration of standard solution. The accuracy of a tithometric method can now be better than the accuracy of the concentration of the standard solution. So it's very important for us to know the concentration of the standard solution. Okay, the two basic methods to establish the concentration of such solutions. The first is direct, in which carefully weighed quantity of primary standard is dissolved in a suitable solvent and diluted to a known volume in a volumetric flask. The second is by standardization, in which the titrant to be standardized is used to titrate. Okay, so again, you have your direct and you have standardization. Okay, expressing the concentrations of standard solution, the concentrations of standard solutions are generally expressed in the units of either molality or normality. Molality gives the number of moles of reagent contained in 1 liter solution, while normality gives the number of equivalents of reagent in the same volume. Okay, next is some useful algebraic relationships. So most volumetric calculations are based on two pairs of fundamental equations that are derived from definitions of the millimole, the mole, and molar concentration. So for the chemical, we may write amount in moles is equal to mass in grams divided by the molar mass, or amount in millimoles is equal to the mass in grams divided by the molar mass or the millimolar mass. Okay, so we derived a second pair from the definition of molar concentration, that is the amount in moles is equal to volume times concentration. Okay, next, weight or gravimetric titrometry. The mass of the titrant is measured, so the number of moles of reagent is usually related to 1 kilograms of solution. So the weight molality is equal to moles divided by the solution in kilograms. Okay, so as an example, 0.1 molarity of sodium chloride, you have 0.1 mole of the sodium chloride in 1 kilogram of solution, or 0.1 millimoles of the sodium chloride in 1 gram of solution. Okay, so this one is just showing us the equivalence of the concentration and volume of the unknown and the standard. Okay, so when you say um, the normality of the standard solution, the volume of the standard solution is equal to the normality of our analyte and the volume of our analyte. So that would be the same for the molarity. No? So molarity of our analyte, volume of our analyte is equal to the molarity of our standard solution and the volume of our standard solution. Okay, so titrometric apparatus, again, you have your acid base, you have your Erlenmeyer flask, you have your iron stand, iron ring. Sometimes, and most of the time actually, the ideal setup is instead of an iron ring, ang gagamitin po natin is burette clamp. Okay, so advantages of weight titration, calibration of the glassware and tedious cleaning to ensure the proper drainage are completely eliminated. Okay, so again, because of using weight instead of volume. Okay, temperature corrections are unnecessary because weight molarity does not change with temperature in contrast to volume molarity. So this is the concept of heat expansion. Volume expands when it is heated. So unlike mass, that remains the same. Okay, so weight measurements can be made with considerably greater precision and accuracy, um, particularly because we have instruments to measure weight, whereas volume, we typically use our eyes or our perceptions. Okay, so also weight titrations are more easily automated than our volumetric titrations. Next, you have titration curves in titrometric method. So endpoint is similar to the physical change near the equivalence point. And the two most widely used endpoint or determinations of endpoint is the changes in color due to the reagent, the analyte, or an indicator, and the change in potential of an electrode that responds to the concentration of the reagent or the analyte in colorimetric titration. Okay, so the titration curve is the plot of a concentration-related variable as a function of reagent volume. And you have two general types of curve. No? So you have your sigmoidal curve and the linear segment curve. A sigmoidal curve would typically, kaya po siya tinawag na sigmoidal curve, no, because it gives you the letter S, sort of a letter S um, appearance. Okay, the P function of analyte is plotted as the function of reagent volume. And whereas your linear segment curve, makikita nyo it's a lot more linear, yung pataas niya. So measurements are made on both sides of the equivalence point. Concentration changes during titrations. The equivalent point or the equivalence point in a titration is characterized by the major changes in the relative concentrations of reagent and analyte. Okay, so for example, this is mostly just a chemical reaction. Excuse me. Okay, so types of titration, you have acid-base titrations. You have complex symmetric titrations, you have redox titrations, and precipitation titrations. But most commonly, what we are going to encounter now is acid and base titrations. Okay, so acid-base titration can be also referred to as neutralization. So a sample of known concentration of acid or base is estimated with a known concentration of base or acid. Okay, so acid plus base would give you a water plus a salt. Okay, and typically, and this endpoint would give us sort of the indicator, or will give us the reaction of the indicator. Next, you have complex symmetric titration. As the name indicates, the endpoint is achieved by the formation of a complex molecule. So once the complex is formed, it is stable and no further reaction takes place. Okay, so you have your titrant plus your titrant would give you a complex. So in this example, you have calcium and EDTA, which would give us a calcium EDTA. Next, you have your redox titration, which is based on the redox reaction or the oxidation reduction reaction. So between the analyte and the titrant. Okay, so what we do here, basically oxidation reduction is the giving and donating, or the giving and receiving of electrons. Next, you have precipitation titration. The titrations which are based on the formation of insoluble precipitates, similar with your gravimetry or precipitation techniques, when the solutions of two reacting substances are brought in contact or in contact with each other. This is called a precipitation titration. So basically, it's almost the same as your acid and base titration, but your endpoint is determined by the formation of insoluble particles in your solution called precipitates. Okay, so fields of use. Titration is widely applied to analytical techniques, particularly when you want to identify the concentration of unknown substances. And it is particularly useful in agriculture, the oil industry, the chemical industry, pharmaceuticals, food industry, and in our case, laboratories. No? The reasons for that is that it is a well-established technique, meaning maraming protocols, maraming procedures, and there are lots of ways to perform titration. It is fast, it is very accurate and precise, it offers a good price to performance ratio as compared to more sophisticated techniques. It can be used by low-skilled and low-trained operators because it is a relatively simple procedure and you don't need highly specialized chemicals. So basically the reagents, the titrants, and the titrants are readily available for use. Okay, so thank you so much. Credits to Ma'am Rica Ventura for the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for your listening.